Have you ever met someone who was so sure about something? They swore up and down that whatever that they were saying was just 100% correct. But then when you went to go ask them how they know this is true or how their story is true, they only pull evidence from their own personal experience. This is called confirmation bias, otherwise known as the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms or supports one's prior beliefs or values. Hello everybody, my name is Aigner. I have spent 4+ years studying biopsychology, and I am a scientist in a cell physiology lab. This channel is called The Smile Inside Your Heart, where we make practical health and healing content backed by science so you can liberate your mind, body, and your soul. Okay, back to confirmation bias. I'm going to explain confirmation bias the exact same way that my 12th grade psychology teacher taught me in high school. Shout out to Miss Black. Imagine a husband and wife living at home. And every day for the past 5 days, the husband would come home and see large packages ordered to the house in his wife's name. He's starting to wonder why so many packages are coming to the house. When he checks his bank statements, he realizes that all these packages have been ordered by his wife, and they are extremely expensive. On the 6th day, the same thing happens. A delivery comes to the door, this time with even more packages. He gets frustrated with his wife and concludes that his wife has an online shopping addiction. Despite any other logical evidence, despite talking to her first, maybe that's a good idea, maybe he should talk to her about her online shopping. He jumps to the conclusion that she has an addiction based on the amount of times he's seen the packages arrive to the door. For all he knows, she could be shopping for the house, shopping for her friends. It might even be a surprise for him. He doesn't know. All he knows is that his wife has a shopping addiction because he's seen a couple packages come to the door. So that example really stuck with me all these years because it really explains how psychologically we can get rooted into a belief just based on previous evidence that have happened in the past. I like to use confirmation bias when I need to route myself into a belief system that is going to lead me to my success. Not just believing in those things, actually pulling evidence from my past experiences to confirm that belief. Also, think of how debates play out. Both teams are debating their side of the same argument. It's your job and your team's job to only recall and favor information that supports and proves your claim. If you think about it, debating is not about who's actually right. It's who has the stronger argument. Similarly, in the psychology of confirmation bias, you don't need to be 100% right to believe these things. You just have to focus on the evidence that confirms it. So now you may be thinking that, Anya, this is just another form of being delusional.
Listen, being delulu is great. Being delulu until it comes tralulu is one of my top survival skills, okay?
If we want to manifest things into our life, we have to believe that it's true already. Confirmation bias is how we can psychologically get a hold of these beliefs and tether it to actual evidence that will support our beliefs. Okay, so get out your notebooks. We're going to be doing a self-belief exercise. And the first thing I want you to do is just write down any one of your limiting beliefs that you've been having recently. And I'm going to use myself as an example because I had the worst working week in my life this week. I had to use this strategy in order to start to get through my day, honestly. I was having a hard time doing my protocol and I felt like I did not know what I was doing. And I didn't have time to cry about it. I didn't have time to go and call someone about it. I didn't have time for all that because the protocol was time sensitive. So I had to, in that very moment, practice confirmation bias in order to believe in myself. So what I did was I first addressed the limiting belief. What is it that I'm struggling with? I was struggling with the belief that I'm not a good scientist and I cannot do this protocol. The first thing you're going to want to do write down that limiting belief, and then flip it into the opposite. So if your limiting belief is, I can't do this, flip it into, I can do this. I am good at this. This thing comes easy and natural to me. Okay? Now, step 2. Look for 5 things that have happened in the time frame of your choice, whether that be this week, last week, the whole entire month, your whole life. Look for 5 things that have happened in your past that confirms that belief to now be true. So for me, 1, simple. I've done this before. I've done this protocol before. I've gotten great results before. 2, I am a great scientist because I have produced some of the highest results that this lab has ever seen. 3, I can do this, and this is meant for me because I am living in the dreams that I wrote down in my notebook 5 years ago. And now here I am. 4, I have goals beyond this moment, beyond this lab. I would not be here today if this was not the stepping stone to get to where I want to be. And 5, my colleagues have told me how great of a scientist I am and how good my results are and that I am doing well. Okay, so those were 5 examples that I pulled from my past, actual evidence that confirm the belief that I am good. So when you do it for yourself, start to notice the feelings that come up and the shift that happens when you start to rewire and work through your limiting beliefs. How do you feel inside? Do you feel more confident? Do you feel more reassured? Are you having less anxiety? Hone in on those feelings and sit with them. Okay, let's go back to the diagram for a second. A lot of the times we fill the middle space here in the diagram with beliefs that are not supportive of our success and ignore the evidence or beliefs that actually would. So in this middle diagram, basically the focal point of what we're looking at, we have thoughts of, I can't do this, or I messed up last week, I don't belong here, I feel like a failure, everyone around me thinks I'm a failure. Those beliefs, and even though some of those things may be true, maybe yes, you did mess up, but that's okay. Don't focus on that. Push those beliefs into the area of evidence we ignore, okay? Ignore those things. Don't focus on that. Start filling up the evidence we believe section with more positive things and ignore everything else. Okay, let's do another example because this can also work with delusions. Like I said in the beginning, it doesn't have to be completely 100% true to use confirmation bias. So say you want to one day have a thriving business. You want your business to be in fitness, health, whatever. Although your success in this area has not come into reality yet, there is still confirmations on your path that you can believe in that is supporting or guiding you to your success in the future. Number 1, the belief is, I have a successful business. And like I said, maybe you don't have the business yet, but you do have the things that confirm it. I have a successful business towards health and wellness because for the past 5 years, my whole life has been centered around implementing and mastering new health and wellness strategies. I have a successful business because people trust me to deliver good advice on health and healing. You can even get more delusional than that. If you have something specific in mind, like I want to meet your favorite celebrity or your favorite podcaster or whatever, you can use confirmation bias to support that as well. So one of my favorite podcasters is Jay Shetty, and my goal is to be someone like him. Maybe one day I'll end up on his podcast, who knows? But if at some point I was lacking self-belief in this goal of mine, I can use confirmation bias to confirm it. I am in alignment with meeting Jay Shetty because I have my own podcast mic. So that must mean I'm in alignment with being on his podcast. The more you start to believe in these things to be true, the less stress there is on how to achieve that thing. It's like when you give over the power to the belief, knowing that it's already true, you don't have the anxiety that comes with trying to figure that thing out. It could be something as simple as, I have the microphone in my room. The first baby step to getting onto a platform like Jay Shetty. And I have it here now. Everything else is going to work out itself. That's the mindset. That's the motivation. I know in my heart that I am going to do a photo shoot with someone who is very well known, very prestigious. So that must mean I am good enough, I am well known, and I am prestigious as well to be able to enter in that room. Everything else is going to work out itself. All right? I'm so proud of you guys. Okay, sweethearts, that's the end of this video. I am so happy I did this and so happy that you guys are here along with me on my journey. And as I always like to say, follow that big old smile inside your heart. I'll see all of you next week. Peace out, Girl Scout.